Welcome back. While Washington was reeling following the news that the president had shared intelligence with Russia and that he may have asked Director Comey to stop his probe into Michael Flynn, many Democrats were in California. They're there for the Center for American Progress Ideas Conference, kind of like a CPAC, but for the left. But what will come out of this gathering? Zerlina Maxwell is here for our Strat Chat. She's a CBSN political contributor, Democratic strategist, and the director of progressive programming at SiriusXM Radio. So what will come of this?
Well, I think that, certainly the left needs a space and a conference to talk about progressive ideas, to talk about the future, to talk about democratic values, because I think that right now the conversation on the left is what do Democrats stand for, as opposed to we're not Donald Trump or we're not Republicans. And so establishing what the values are, I think, is an important conversation that Democrats need to have right now as we head into next year's governor's races and also into 2018.
But it's very tempting to be simply in opposition to Donald Trump when the White House is essentially on fire with scandal. Can they ride that momentum much longer, or forever at this point? Well,
I think that, at this point, it's less of a political conversation for Democrats and more about a question of patriotism, right? Because I think that we've had so many different developments, especially in the past week. It's crazy to think that Sally Yates testified a week ago. I can't believe that was a week ago. But it was a week ago. And in that time, there have been a number of different developments that walk very close to the line of what people are saying could be an obstruction of justice charge. Not necessarily in the criminal sense, but in the constitutional sense when you're talking about impeachment or high crimes and misdemeanors. I'm not saying that we should impeach the president. As I sit here right now, certainly we need to let these investigations play out. But I think for Democrats, it's less of a political conversation and calculation and more about what's right for the country, getting to the bottom of what happened with the Russian hacking, and also presenting ideas that are, in contrast with what Republicans are talking about right now.
We have a figure that some of our viewers may have heard of before, Hillary Clinton, emerging with a new organization, Onward Together, I think it's called.
That's correct.
Is now a good time for her to come forward, or is she helping Democrats?
I think so. I think that, certainly I'm a former Hillary Clinton staffer, and so for me, I think it's interesting that she was always attacked for being the establishment. She can't relate to the normal person, and, given all of the different options of things you can do after you run for president, she's decided to start a PAC, which is a 501c4 organization that is allowed to be explicitly political. But it really is about establishing grassroots momentum and essentially getting some of that energy that's on the ground right now in opposition to Donald Trump, but certainly trying to get more women to run for office, more people to get engaged in their local political communities, school boards, all the way up to the governor. And so I think that that's a really important thing, and I think it's, when is the right time? Certainly if it was next week, people probably would have been criticizing that. So she's trying to get into the mix of the political conversation, and I think it's actually in a really constructive way.
But there's an interesting question about what an establishment figure can do at this particular moment. We've got Joe Biden also emerging, campaigning for a gubernatorial candidate in New Jersey. Biden, Clinton, these are big-time names for all time, but also of the recent past, and we seem to be at a change moment. Can they really help out there?
Well, one of the things I think is interesting about Joe Biden is he's still such a popular figure within Democratic Party circles, and when he's going to a state like New Jersey to campaign for the candidate running for governor there to replace Chris Christie, he's doing that in a neighboring state, right? He was a senator from Delaware for many, many decades, and so obviously that's right close to home, and so that makes a lot of sense. I think in terms of what establishment Democrats can do is, raise money. They know where they know how to get the donors to raise money for the party. They know how to, essentially bring people into an event. They're big, high-profile names. That's important in terms of organizing and GOTV efforts. And so I think that, the party needs all hands on deck. And so it would be probably a dereliction of duty to have Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden completely stay out in this particular moment when, like I said at the top, there are so many different really, really serious developments coming out of the White House. And so we need all Democrats participating and making sure that we're electing more Democrats.
Talking about Joe Biden, I'm reminded of a report in The Guardian during the campaign where people around Biden and also Donald Trump directly were talking half jokingly, half not about the two of them tangling behind a barn, fists being thrown. And I think Trump said something like, some things you just love to do.
Right.
That would be an amazing fundraising event. Like, they might need to bring that back up again. It would be a win for everybody.
I mean, given the past 24 hours in the news cycle, I'm not putting anything past Joe Biden and Donald Trump.
Donald Trump could definitely use a reset, and that would do it.
Yeah, he certainly needs one.
Okay, also in Georgia, a new poll shows House hopeful Jon Ossoff slightly ahead of Republican Karen Handel. It's pretty big news. That
is a very big news. I think that a lot of people sort of wrote off this race. I mean, Ossoff was able to be successful in the primary, but he wasn't able to he wasn't able to get above the 50% necessary to avoid this runoff. And so I think that what's important now is that this is not a purple area. This is not a purple district. This is a district that is red, 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 Newt Gingrich's old seat, right? So we're talking about a wave of essentially support for Democrats right now because of what's going on in the White House and because of what Donald Trump is doing. And I think that Republicans are going to be really alarmed, certainly if his approval ratings dip under 30% and Democrats are successful in these races that are coming up in June. I think that if Democrats come out on top in Georgia 6, Republicans are going to be calling for an independent prosecutor like almost overnight. I think that, I mean, if not, tomorrow, it will happen as soon as the June 6th results come out.
Even if Republicans can triumph in that district, what are you thinking, I know it's early, about 2018? Are Democrats going to retake the House and Senate?
I mean, I never like to predict that far in advance because given the past week, we have no idea what's going to happen between now and 2018. What I do think, though, is that Democrats can start organizing so that we can have the coalitions ready to go for GOTV when it comes time to go vote in 2018. And also recruiting women and other inexperienced candidates that are new faces is important for Democrats going forward into 2018. And I think that, what's happening in the White House and what's happening in the country, really for me, even as a Democrat and a former Hillary staffer, is not a political issue. I think that it's an American issue, what we're seeing right now in the White House, and it's very, very alarming because it's very, very dangerous what we're talking about. When you're leaking information to the Russians, when you're obstructing an investigation, which at its core is about espionage into our election, in the heart of our democratic process, that for me is alarming as an American. As a Democrat, I would like to see Democrats organize and rally around younger, more progressive candidates that really represent the future of the party. And then, yes, I hope that we are able to take back the House in 2018. It's still it's a tall order, but it is possible.
All right, Zerlina Maxwell, Director of Progressive Programming at SiriusXM Radio.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.